All right, Launch Button community, welcome here today. And we've got another special guest. We've got our special guest, Elisa Boogaerts. And here's the cool thing about what she's doing. She's in the process of transitioning from her corporate job into a full-time coach. Now, we talked to you guys about not firing your boss too soon, not cutting that cord until you got everything in place. And she is going through that process right now. So it's a great example of how to start your side hustle, keep your corporate job, and then be able to transition so you're not stuck on income, you're not stuck on supporting your family. And she's going to tell us her story on how she found her passion here today and then what she's up to in the world. So, how did you find your passion of coaching?
Oh yeah, I was introduced to coaching when I was actually living in London, England. And I actually, so I'm from Vancouver, Canada, and moved there. So I started my corporate career here in Vancouver, and my parents really like instilled this like strong work culture in me. It was always like I had to do chores to get my allowance, and and as soon as I was 15, the legal working age here, I got my job like right away. It was a little bit of like trying to get that independence. And my first job was at a restaurant, and then eventually made it into the head office. And I had like a contract job, and then I got like a permanent job. And the people I was working with, they're like, "You're like 20 years old. Like, what are you gonna do? Be CEO next?" A little bit of an overachiever. And I was even going to college at night at the same time, getting my business degree. And so I ended up working there for 5 years, and then I decided to take off. I knew that I really wanted to go traveling, and I hadn't done this yet. So I went and I lived abroad. I was actually abroad for 11 years, which was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And so yeah, so when I was in Amsterdam, I was well when I lived in Amsterdam, and then I lived in London. When I moved there, I was just like, I'm just gonna get a whatever job, right? I'm gonna land on my feet. I need something. I'll get an office job. And so I spent a few years working there, and luckily I had a manager who saw me, and she was like, "You'd be really good at project management." And I was like, "I don't know what that is, but sure." And so I kind of took that path, and it worked well because it really fit my skills. But I kind of felt like something was a little bit missing, like it was good, and like it was easy for me, but there wasn't like it didn't spark me in any way. I didn't really have like a passion for it. And so I ended up moving to London, which is where, and I took a course at work there, and that's where I like found out about more. That's where I really started my personal development journey, and met a coach, and he was showing me about like affirmations and meditation and all that. And then I was introduced to this weekend coaching thing. It was like a sort of an
Boot camp.
intro yeah, yeah, to like for this a coaching academy. And oh, it was just so amazing. I was so sparked by it. And I remember working with this woman, and I just like followed this coaching sequence, and she was like, "Oh, wow," like to her it was transformative. I would say I was just able to listen and talk, and I thought like, wow, this is really, really amazing. But I had to put it on the back burner for a little while because my project management career really took off. And I even did some like volunteer coaching as well when I was in London. But yeah, and I knew there was something that I wanted to pursue one day. But life brought me back to Vancouver, and it's where I started working in the tech industry as like a project manager in software development. And I was moving from job to job and job. After about 3.5 years, 4 different companies, I realized that it wasn't the company, it wasn't the people, it was the job.
Yeah.
I was miserable in every place that I worked. Just really didn't fulfill me. And my career progression was kind of weird. I just sort of like I felt like I just kind of fell into things, and I would get good feedback, and I would get promotions, and I would get raises, and all of a sudden now I find myself still in the corporate world as this. It's like a in technology, you have like senior, and then you have the next levels goes like
Right.
staff, principal. And so I'm a staff technical program manager. I'm like, how did that happen?
Well, now you're stuck, right? Because the income level, you're like, hey, I like this, but my passion. But you don't really realize. Actually, we got a very similar story. When I was 16, I got driven around to find my first job in a restaurant, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so what we don't actually realize, like working in the restaurant and the customer service field, is you're actually like learning how to deal with people light speed, because you get all types of people coming in there, from sober to drunk to fighting with their significant other to like, and there's all sorts of crazy stories I know I could tell from back then. And I'm sure you've got similar ones just by your laugh, right? And you're
Yeah.
shaking your head there. But we were learning all those things at such a young age, 15 and 16 years old, to do that. And I actually ended up taking a boot camp. I was actually in IT, and I took a boot camp to learn how to raise capital and be a professional speaker. And that transitioned into a whole new career. So it's right there for you. You're on the cusp. You just got to give yourself permission to start doing it and start, charging for it, because you've got it right there. And you're ready to come up with your first talk there about empowering people, right?
Yeah.
To be able to go ahead and do that and help those 9 to 5ers. And I think a lot of people are in your situation, which was my situation. I was director of technology for all of North America. And I sort of hit that glass ceiling, and then it becomes very political. And I was like, to go to like VP or SVP and then CFO was like, the right people are in place. You get, if the wrong people switch out. And I saw the handwriting on the wall and was like, and I took that course, and bam, a whole new career sprung from that. So now my question for you, since you're in that place and you're not happy,
Yeah.
what are the steps you're going to take to launch this coaching business and your talk of empowering the 9 to 5ers?
Yeah, well, I actually launched my business 2 years ago. And it's like, it was when kind of COVID hit, was when I was like, oh yeah, that coaching thing, all of a sudden everybody had way more time, right? And so I got my certifications. I've actually gotten 4 different certifications in coaching through the Health Coach Institute. And yeah, launched my business. I just took the leap 2 years ago. And ever since then, I've been like, okay, I'm going to quit this time. No, no, I'm going to quit now. Now I'm going to quit now. And so now in my head, I'm like, I'm going to quit like maybe in the next month or two. And, but I've also been sort of struggling to get the business off the ground. I've had such a secure paycheck for the last like over 20 years where it's like, I don't really know how to sell myself. Yeah, I've created talks. I've done a course on how to do talks. Um, and, and so I think that I'm still trying to get that going. And I feel like I'm like almost there. And so what I've been doing is making a plan. So I've like been saving money. So like if I do quit and like the income isn't like super steady at the beginning, I can still pay my bills at least for like a year. And so I've been planning it. And what I'm kind of in the position where I'm launching a program in September, and I'm gonna see like how successful that is. And then from there, make a decision if it's time or not. It's
All
gonna
right.
be
Well,
fun.
let's talk about a couple things that you could do as well to help with that. Number one, make sure you get all the loans and business lines and everything set up while you have your W-2. In the US, we can do overfunded life insurance, which means you can put extra money into your life insurance and be able to borrow from yourself. So it's tax deductible. So that's
Oh,
one thing. I don't know if it's applicable in Canada or not. I haven't looked into that yet with some of our people, but that's one way. So then, like, starting out your business, you may need extra funding. So you can do that. And while you still have your W-2, you might be able to get business lines of credit and business credit cards. So you have all of that lined up, because banks
yeah.
love to lend to W-2 people. They don't love to lend to entrepreneurs
Startup.
just starting out. Yeah. Right. So whatever you can do for that, all your funding, get that all in place. That'll definitely help you set up for that. And then two, do what you're doing, right? Which is just start getting the word out there, right?
Mhm.
Start going to as many events and networking things as you can. And three, I always tell people, document all your testimonials. So
Mhm.
anybody that you've had success in the past with, go back, ask them to write you a written testimonial and record a video testimonial for your website.
Okay. From them or me? Yeah, I guess me
From
too.
them, just from
Yeah.
them. Just have them go on camera, like right now, because you might be in distance from each other. I mean, you're international, you're in London, you're in different places, people that you've helped, and just anybody that will give you, right, a testimonial that say, hey, she's an amazing woman to work with. This is what I learned from her, and you should too. And get that on your site. And pretty soon you'll have like 15 or 20 testimonials, right? And people will be like, okay, here we go. And that'll also help with your launch in September of your um, program. I don't know,
Yeah.
is that what are you doing, like a challenge or something like that?
It's a 6-week program. Yeah. So I'm doing
Okay,
a
6 week
master class,
program.
and then that'll lead into the 6-week program. Yeah.
Okay, so doing the master class, you can always play some of the testimonials or have people go to the site and be like, hey, this is, I've helped this person do that. And as you get different stories of different people, right? that's going to be huge for what you're doing because it's already proof, right? And that's what a lot of people and entrepreneurs, coaches forget is to get those testimonials in those people's words
Mm,
because people, right? If we say it, they don't believe us. If they say it, they believe it. And if they see somebody else like them that gives you a testimonial, they're going to believe that more than you telling them how great you are or how much you can help them and all the things.
awesome advice. Thank you. I was taking notes.
Awesome. Well, and so let's talk about, tell me, you said you got 3 strategies for empowering living. And I want to
Yes.
make sure our audience gets great information from you as well. So, what are some of those 3 things?
Yeah, the three things. So I'm really focusing right now on, so I feel like, you know, a lot of us don't give so much to everybody else. And I really feel like we need to prioritize ourselves. And that's why I like the title is Time for You and how we can really empower ourselves. And I believe that in order to prioritize yourself so you can have more time and energy and freedom to do what you want to do in your life, you need to confidently say no to what you don't want to do. You need to put yourself first and do it without feeling guilty. And then dare
What?
to be you, right? Yeah. It's okay, right? And give yourself that permission. And then dare to be you and really like own it. Figure out what's important to you and like your values and like, and just be like, this is me and it's okay. And I know that with my wisdom and my experience, this is what I want. And I'm not going to let anybody sway me off track. And it's actually something that I'm sort of battling with right now. We're talking about like, okay, yes, you can have this plan to leave the corporate job and all the things you can do. But some of the pressure I'm finding that I'm getting is through my family. They're
No.
scared,
Shocker.
right? They love me
Shocker.
and they're like, "You're gonna what? Like, look at your salary, look at your benefits, look at your steady income," and it's all coming at me, and I'm like, I know all of that, but I'm gonna do it anyway, and I'm not gonna let like yeah, but it's really hard to kind of to let go of that conditioning and do something so incredibly different. And it's true because entrepreneurship, from what I understand and what I've experienced the last 2 years, it is difficult.
It is
There
the entrepreneur roller coaster. You're going to
right.
be high on life and then low on life and then high and low. And eventually it balances out and you get used to it. But
Right.
I'll tell you, when I stepped away from my IT job, which similar to where you're at, my dad pretty much called me he didn't use the 4 letter words, but he wanted to, and pretty much called, he being a teacher, he's like, you're giving up benefits. Exactly. You're giving up benefits. You're giving up all of the same things, but it's like, it just doesn't make me happy. Like I know I was making more money than my parents combined, but it wasn't making me happy. Right.
Yeah.
And I could see when you talk about coaching, you light up. When you talk about helping people, you light up. When you talk about like project management and tech, you're like, and so we did project management and tech.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's not making you
Exactly it.
happy. And so you got to take your shot, right? You got to launch, you got to hit that button and just go for it. You're going to get all the
Yeah.
naysayers are going to come out, but eventually, hopefully they come back around. Now, my dad still 17 years later is like, so you want to go back? Shouldn't you go back into IT? Like they're paying a lot now. And I'm like, by now I'm done in IT. You don't understand. Like I'm so far behind the times. So
Right. Yeah.
I would just say, pick a date, plant the flag in the sand, hit the launch button, and go for it. Because
Go
otherwise,
for
you're
it.
going to have that internal struggle up and down, you
Yeah.
know, and be able
Yeah.
to do that, you
Yeah.
know.
And it's so interesting when, yeah, how having to build that self-confidence in yourself to be like, no, I know this is what I want. And I know also you have to like rebuild that to be like, I know that my experience, like I am a high achiever. I work really hard. Whatever I put my mind to works well. Like I'm intelligent, I'm capable. This is just a whole new thing that I'm learning, but I'm gonna get it. And I
Okay.
think that's something as well with people like, being time for you and really just like knowing that and doing that kind of internal being like, yes, I can. And I believe in myself and I want this for myself. And so I'm gonna do it no matter what.
But you said something there differently that most people that I've coached and trained, and you said it's all new, it's all these things, but I'm gonna get it. Where most people go, I'm gonna try. You've already decided in your
Mhm.
brain, whether you realize it or not, that you're gonna achieve it. Right. So that was a different declaration statement than most people make. You're like, I'm gonna get it. Like I'll do whatever it takes to get it. And I can see that in you versus most people that are like, hey, I'll try it, Hugh. I'm gonna, yeah, I will. Right. And
Yeah.
so you've got that power, you've got that ability to go get it and claim it, and you'll figure it out. Right.
Hmm.
Like that's one of the things that's hard on IT people, like knowing project management. Like I know I do this, then I do this, then I do this, and it works. And it's like, that's not
We've
how
laid out
entrepreneur
process,
works.
all best practices, other people have failed and learned from. And like, oh no, we got it. And it's just like
Yeah.
this well-oiled machine. Yeah.
Yeah. So I always say this, right? You're going to fail, but give yourself permission to fail and fail fast. So when I like same thing in IT, like you write the code or the project, like, hey, that didn't work. Okay, we got to shift this, right? Just keep shifting and tweaking. And you're going to
Yes.
get where
And
you
like
want to be super
experimentation
fast.
as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah. And I've
Try
even heard
everything.
like some coaches say, even if you fall down and you fall forward, at least you're still moving forward.
Yep. That's what it
Get
is.
yourself back up again. Yeah.
And we learn more from our failures than we do from our successes. So that's the biggest thing. Like sometimes we get super lucky, like people hit it out of the park right away, and then they collapse 6 months later because they have no idea why they were successful, right? Where if you
Right.
chip away at it and you know it, now you know what to fix for the next one so that you can continue to do that.
Yes. That's the
So
plan.
there you go. So what would be the ideal coaching world, coaching clients for you that you're going to go get in the next 3 to 6 months?
Yeah, I'm really focusing on those. Well, working with professionals who are just exhausted and they're depleted and they need to really, yeah, prioritize themselves so that they can give that time and energy to themselves. And it not just like at work, but in their life as well. I feel like, people can give so much and there's only a finite amount of time and a finite amount of energy we have each day, especially time. Time's something we never get back. And so use it well and use that time and energy for you and I want to help people to see that and that it's okay for them to do that. Yes, but those are the people I really want to work with and help. And then from there I really want to take them on this self-confidence journey. I actually wrote a book as well called Change Your Life with Self-Confidence, and it's my signature system called the Confidence Method, and it's all about that. It's about like learning who you are and your values and what you want right now, and then like doing the internal game to see like how I get in my own way and how other people can get in their way and like navigating all those obstacles so you can actually achieve what you want and like take those first steps to having a more fulfilled and happy life and making those positive shifts and positive changes to be happy again.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And she'll give us the link and we'll put that in the show notes for all of you guys. So you guys can get access to the book and be able to take that confidence journey, because that's a lot of what it is, right? Having that confidence to take the next step, right? Whether we see it or not, oftentimes we know what to do. It's just a question of, are you going to take the step? Right. And you can see your eyes got really
Are
big
you
on that
gonna
one. Like, are you going to
get
take
all
the
brave,
step? Like, you
right?
just
Like
got to go for it. Like, Martin Luther King said that even in the darkness, you got to take the step, right? And the step will be there when you go to take the step. The things will come when you're ready to take the step. And so having that confidence and that belief in yourself that you will achieve it, you'll reach your coaching goals, and those steps are right out there for you. Uh, Before we go, what is something that most people don't know about you that you like to do for fun?
um what is something that people don't know about me? When I was in high school, I played rugby on a
There you
women's
go.
team. Yeah, in the
That's
90s
awesome.
too. So that was like wasn't really a thing. So I feel like I'm a bit of a pioneer in
I
women's
was
rugby.
gonna ask you because you have that sports mentality mindset, like I do, where it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna go do this, right? Like, and by the way, at 20 years old, working started in a restaurant and ended up in corporate is huge, right? Like, I know you didn't realize it at the time, or you were just like, I'm just doing it, right? That's almost just like the sports mentality. Like, I got to get through that line, like in rugby, just got to carry that ball across that line, whatever it takes, right? No matter who's in my way, I just keep going and I just keep doing it. And that's that growth mindset that I see in you, and that's why you're getting ready to launch out of your own corporate job and then amazingly help other people do it and follow in your steps. And it's great because as more and more people see this, and all you guys in the launch button community, you guys are able to out there see people launch, fully launched, partially launched. And we always say, in a rocket ship, the hardest part is getting that first 6 inches off the ground. Because once we disengage from gravity, then all of a sudden it gets easier and easier as you get your way up. And once you're in orbit, it doesn't take very much to stay in orbit. So we
Love
appreciate
that.
your time here today.
Thank you so much for
And
having me.
We're going to get
amazing.
your book out there to everybody. So everybody be on the lookout for the link. Reach out to Elisa and you're able to go ahead and have the success that she's having. And if she's just one step ahead of you, that's all it takes for you to follow along on the journey. So I'll see you guys next time. Stay plugged in and look for the great opportunities that are coming your way, because most of the time we don't see them because we're focused on ourselves instead of listening to the people around us. And there's great opportunities here for you each and every day. See you guys soon.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on the Launch Button Podcast, your gateway to unlocking your true potential and pursuing your passions. Don't let the journey end here. For more empowering insights, valuable resources, exclusive content, and free giveaways, visit www.thelaunchbuttonpodcast.com.